We continue with more misconceptions about trading. Number 3. Trading mindset. What do casual traders believe? Having a trading mindset is crucial. You need to develop it. It takes a lot of practice to become professional. I bet I've watched 20 YouTube videos about getting the right trading mindset, and I order all the Market Wizards books from Jack Schwager to learn from the top traders. Then I start trading, and magically after 2 years I will be profitable. After I have developed my trading mindset. The truth? Mindset. What a load of crap. You don't need mindset, you need an edge. At the beginning, at the very least, you need a good idea where your edge should be coming from and work towards that. You work hard to get the edge, then you work hard to make it pay. What does this have to do with mindset? Mindset. Most casual traders don't even have a concrete idea about what they mean when mentioning trading mindset. They often believe it's something almost mythical, which makes professional traders successful. This is not how it works. Okay, let's be a bit less cynical. There are some traits a trader should have which are necessary. They are surely not superpowers, but I get it that beginners might find it hard. So here is what actually could be considered a trading mindset. Discipline. You need to have the discipline to follow your system and stick to your strategies, even when faced with challenging market conditions or the temptation to follow your gut feeling. For example, in football trading, if the market goes crazy in the final minutes of a game, you stick to your system and don't suddenly bet on who you feel is going to score a goal now. Emotional control. You must manage your emotions and don't make impulsive decisions based on fear, greed, or other emotions that can cloud your judgment. Example from football trading again. If you have a value bet on and your team scores a goal, you don't trade out early just because you are afraid you could still lose your bet at the end. You trade out if you can generate value by doing it. If you can't, you don't trade out. It's very simple. Continuous learning. You need to understand that the markets are constantly evolving and that there is always more to learn. By continuously educating yourself and adapting your strategies to changing market conditions, you can stay ahead of the curve and remain competitive. Dealing with losses. Short-term losses are absolutely normal and you have to deal with them. In fact, the short-term influence of randomness is intuitively underestimated, even by pros. We will do some simulations in the series where we can demonstrate how big this influence actually is. So you can't let your betting decisions get influenced by past results. The only influence recent losses should have is obviously on your staking amount, as you have a smaller bank now. But you obviously stay rational and don't chase losses. This is a mindset you should have. But there isn't much more to that. Number 4. Money management. What do casual traders believe? Money management is negligible and should only prevent me from blowing my bank. I just follow this fancy system from this YouTuber. Can't go wrong with that. Just look at the fake guru from our last video. Go ahead and watch this video for a good laugh. How to never blow a bank again, where he explains his money management. This is the dumbest money management system I've ever seen, aside from maybe Martingale, which he is also promoting. This guy doesn't understand, or shall we say, he doesn't even know, the absolute basics of risk management in betting. I mean, dude, maybe you don't start with scientific papers about risk management, but some very basic online articles about correct staking applied would already be a huge improvement. He simply comes up with a simplistic, so plastic, staking plan with castles, soldiers and front lines, which is probably appealing to newbies who don't have a clue themselves. The truth? Money management and correct staking are extremely important and need to be approached in the same scientific way as you approach finding value. It's not just about preventing you from going bankrupt. It's also about not squandering your edge. If you stake too much, you obviously run the risk of going bust. But if you stake too low, you will earn less than you could have. So you need to find the optimal amount for each bet. So you do some research and read scientific papers. Then you stumble across the Kelly criterion. Then you realize that there are some flaws with Kelly, so you might not do exactly Kelly staking. But you learn important lessons from Kelly, which you have to implement. For example, that you have to adapt your stake to the odds and to the value. Lower odds, bigger stake. Higher value, bigger stake. If you see any YouTuber not doing that, you already know that this person can't be a betting pro. Number 5. Where is the money coming from? What do casual traders believe? There's magic money lying around to be taken. I don't have to think about how it appears, it's just there, and I can take advantage of it. The truth? Trading is a zero-sum game if you don't consider costs of trading. If you consider costs, it's much worse than a zero-sum game. That's not 100% true for stock trading as you get dividends from the stocks you're holding, but it's true for sports trading. If you're winning a bet, someone else is losing one. And you have to be aware of who you are up against. You are up against pros, syndicates, bookies, market makers, insiders, clever people, and casual traders. But most of the time, your counterpart isn't a casual trader. So how are you going to make money if most of the time you're up against people who are more sophisticated than you are? Only two possibilities. You either become so sophisticated that you can take off money from other pros, or you become sophisticated enough to not lose much when matched against them and still be profitable overall because of the cases where you are matched against clueless people. Of course, most of the time you don't know who you are matching against. But with experience, you can often read the market and you can actually see who is betting what. Often I get asked, does your strategy work? Or is there value in backing this or that? The first question you should always ask yourself is, why should there be value? There is no magic money lying around. So what could be the reason that someone is offering you value there? Actually, that could be the reason. It's possible to find value. But if you have no idea where it's coming from, it's likely you are the fish, if we speak in poker terms. Yes, sometimes pros match against pros for various reasons. You don't need to be the best trader of all to be profitable. But you have to be better than most market participants. And that's not easy. Thanks for watching. In the next few videos we will talk about how pros think about the market and explain important concepts. So stay tuned.